The game never stops, and neither do we. Buenos dias, amigos. Welcome to another edition of the Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere. I'm Jason Longshore. We got a ton to talk about thanks to our friends at Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. We have a champion in the NWSL. We have chaos in the MLS playoffs with another game tonight. We have derby drama in Europe. We've got huge upsets in college soccer, a first-time champion in the USL, a housing opportunity for Atlanta homeowners in Fayette County to know about, and maybe if you're looking for a place to stay during next summer's World Cup, you need to know about. And the refill packed with storylines. Pour that espresso. Let's go. Let's start. Gotham FC, the 8th seed. They become champions again for the second time in 3 seasons in the NWSL. It's a wild run. This is a team that has shown when it matters in the postseason, they can be an absolute handful. It was Rose Lavelle who delivered the winner Saturday night in San Jose in the 80th minute. Bruninha took off down the left, cut inside with a couple of step-overs. Outside of the foot cross that, only a player with supreme confidence is going to take in a final. Lavelle, unmarked at the top of the box, guided it in with the left foot. A great finish. Gotham's traveling fans go nuts. Bruninha becomes the youngest player to ever to win 2 NWSL titles. And it sums up what Gotham has done in this postseason. They've been relentless. They have been the underdog. They're the 8th seed. That's real. But they didn't buy into it. They didn't buy into being the villains either, but they kind of enjoyed it as well. Their goalkeeper, Ann-Katrin Berger, said afterwards that they underperformed in the regular season. So that's why they pushed back on the underdog title. But the way the season went, they were the underdogs. But they knew they had the talent to be better than they had been in the regular season. Emily Sonnet talked about being more aggressive. Mitch Purse joked that you can't be a villain when you've got Rose Lavelle on your team, which is actually a pretty good joke. And Juan Carlos Amaros becomes only the second manager in NWSL history to win 2 titles in 2 attempts. Just an incredible night for Gotham. I do want to talk a little bit about Washington Spirit and how things went with them in this match. I thought they started to turn the game around in the first part of the second half, when they were finding Rose Kawasi down the right side. When they moved her over to the left, they kind of lost their momentum. That was a surprise from a tactical perspective. And then I think they made a big mistake with the injury to Hal Hirschfeld. Watching the broadcast, one, the way her ankle buckled over to the outside is really difficult, and it's more difficult from my experience, and this is sadly an area where I have a pretty good bit of experience. My ankles are silly putty at this point. That was the way that I had the worst ankle injury I had in my career, was rolling it over to the outside. And it's more of a shock to the system. So when I saw the replay, I'm like, that's going to be really tough for her to come back from. And when she was trying to, and full credit to Hal Hirschfeld for trying to continue, but when she was trying to continue and on the sideline, you could see this on the broadcast. It was up on the top of the screen to the left. She ran and she was trying to get the ankle loose and trying to continue. And then she went back down. When she went back down, that's when the sub had to be made, because it was obvious this wasn't going to work. They didn't, and then she came back in, which she was about to get subbed, but she came back in so the team wasn't playing shorthanded. Full credit, again, to Hal Hirschfeld for giving this a go. But it's on the coaching staff and the medical staff to make this decision faster, because it was obvious well before that she was not going to be able to finish. It's not completely on her that Rose Lavelle finds that ball and Gotham scores the goal, but she is involved in the play, and she can't move normally. The sub needed to happen faster. The communication had to be better in that moment. And to me, it was once she went back down after trying to run it off on the sideline, that was where the sub had to come, and it didn't. And I think it factors in to costing Washington the win. Gotham did enough to win. I didn't think they dominated this game. I think for Washington, they were turning it in the second half. The injury comes at a horrible time for them, but also moving Kawasi over to the left, I think, was a bad move. It just didn't pay off. So Gotham ended up getting the win. They went through three of the best teams in the league to do it, winning in Kansas City, winning in Orlando, the defending champions, and then beating the Washington Spirit. Huge run in the postseason for Gotham FC. Now the questions will be about Trinity Rodman, who did not look great, did not look super comfortable when she came on as a sub for the Spirit. What's next for her? She's out of contract at the end of the season. With her injury history, this makes it a more complicated decision on re-signing her for NWSL or anyone else signing her, because she has battled a lot of injuries over the past few years. Somebody's going to pay her a lot of money, but it's going to be a significant risk because of that injury history. And hopefully that can turn around and be more consistent, and you can find a way to manage her minutes and manage her body, what she can handle physically, because she's talked about her back and maybe not ever being truly the same. This is going to be a very interesting decision on multiple levels. It is not purely as simple as raising the salary cap to sign her. I do think that is a factor. But even if it is raised, I don't think it's a slam dunk to sign her to a new contract, depending on where the costs end up going. It's going to be a really difficult decision all the way around, and we will be following all of that here in the offseason in the NWSL. It's not the offseason yet in MLS. A couple teams started their offseason over the weekend, Cincinnati being one of them. Let's start with there. Lionel Messi, 1 goal, 3 assists, 12 playoff goal involvements in total. Miami are 1 win away from hosting MLS Cup for the first time in club history. Tadeo Ashende, he scored twice. Matteo Silvetti bagged 1. And Javier Mascherano made some really big decisions coming into this one. 1, playing with high pressure against Cincinnati. That worked. 2, starting without Luis Suarez, who was back from suspension. That worked. Silvetti got the start. He scored. He assisted on the opener that Messi headed home. Just a comprehensive performance from Miami. Cincinnati did not look up for the challenge. Some criticism of Cincinnati players, racing to swap shirts with Lionel Messi afterwards. That's a bad look after you get blown out in a playoff game at home to end your season. I agree, that is a bad look. And Cincinnati's got a lot of roster decisions to make coming up in this offseason. There were not a whole lot of performances in this game that made you feel good about where Cincinnati is. Very good regular season, but they have another poor performance in the postseason. Philadelphia, a poor performance from them. NYC, they pull off the upset. And this was a big one because of the injuries that NYC is dealing with. They go to Subaru Park. They get the 1-0 win. What a goal from Maxi Morales. The ball from Nico Fernandez was brilliant. Matt Freese with one of the best saves that you'll see in the MLS postseason. Made 4 more on top of that. Philadelphia did what Philly does. They were direct. They were physical. They tried to intimidate. They got NYC, I think, to back off of challenges for a while, because it's something that Philadelphia does, and it's very frustrating, in my opinion. They just commit so many fouls, and they're so physical that at times I think referees just get tired of blowing the whistle so often, because you almost feel like you're doing too much, even though if you watch this game, it's intentional the way that Philly pushes the envelope. Bruno Damiani running into defenders before the ball gets there, and that got called twice, but then other players did the same. Long balls over the top for NYC. Glesnes and Macania run into the attacker first before trying to play the ball. It's intentional, and it doesn't get called very often. It's stuff that is extremely frustrating, but NYC managed it. And it's something that, frankly, Philadelphia is going to have to find a way to mitigate if they're going to get to the next levels. I just don't think you're going to win championships consistently playing that way. You'll win a lot of MLS regular season games. You'll be annoying to teams. You'll be very good. But I think you've got to have some quality with the ball to win championships. They came very close a few years ago, and they didn't get it done. I think losing Quinn Sullivan this year was a big loss for them, a much bigger loss than you would think. I think Jack McGlynn leaving. McGlynn is another huge absence for them. 2 ball players, because you didn't have enough ball players in the moments you needed them to go win this game. NYC did with Nico Fernandez and with Maxi Morales, and they get the win. They'll go to Miami in the Eastern Conference Final. Vancouver, they're waiting to see where they will play in the Western Conference Final. It's not an upset, but it is an upset. I think LAFC was my favorite to win the MLS Cup title. Talked about it a lot. They couldn't get past Vancouver in front of 53,957 fans, a record crowd at BC Place. Whitecaps took a 2-0 lead. Tristan Blackman got sent off with a second yellow card. They lost Bilal Halbouni as well due to injury. They finished with 9. They conceded a stoppage time free kick equalizer to Son Heung-min, which is as good of a free kick as you'll see anywhere in the world. And Vancouver somehow steadied themselves and got the win in the shootout. Sebastian Berhalter was brilliant emotionally for this team as well, dropping into that right back position when Halbouni got hurt. Berhalter, Nelson, Gauld, and Laborda buried their penalties. Vancouver are into their first ever Western Conference Final. They'll play the winner of San Diego and Minnesota. That game's tonight at 10 at the Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego. The Murph Dragon. Anders Dreyer, he's been great this season for San Diego. 22 goals in all competitions. Minnesota got past Seattle in penalty shootouts. The Opta supercomputer predicts San Diego. I think they're the better team. Minnesota will make it difficult. But I think it's funny how the old cliche is defense wins championships. You know, I actually disagree with that in MLS and in postseason soccer, in knockout soccer. I think you have to have good defense to get there, but it's actually attackers that win you championships. You have to have people who can play. You have to have an ability to play. It's very rare that the ultra defensive team wins the ultimate title. I know Greece in 2004 in the Euros, yeah. Give me more, because there's not that many. It's usually you think of the attacker. You think of the goal scorer. You think of the guy who pulled the strings. You think of that player with the ball at their feet who won the match. San Diego has more of that than Minnesota. Minnesota is reluctant to open up, and I think San Diego takes care of business at home. Let's go to the Premier League. You got some pressure. You got some I think maybe, I don't know if I'd say it's a hot seat yet. I don't want to say that. But you've got some issues in Liverpool, and you've got some issues at Tottenham Hotspur. Let's start with Spurs. 4-1 win, or 4-1 loss, sorry. 4-1 win for Arsenal against Tottenham Hotspur in the North London derby. Only 2 shots on target for Spurs, 0.1 expected goals. When you've got apologies coming afterwards for not showing up and not playing hard enough, that's an issue. Spurs fans want more from this team in the attack. Thomas Frank's got to find a way to deliver that to them, or his seat is going to get hot. Arne Slot should not have a hot seat. But they lost to Nottingham Forest 3-0. Liverpool has 6 defeats in 7 league matches. Back-to-back 3-goal home losses for the first time since the 60s. 20 conceded. That's joint worst for Liverpool at this stage of a Premier League season. This is beyond just the team not coming together after all of the summer additions. There's something dramatically wrong. Arne Slot says there's a way out of this, but this is turning into a big question. And yeah, you have to ask if the seat's hot. Even after winning the title last year and shocking everybody, you have to ask that with what they spent and how bad it is. Because it's not just, they're close, but they can't quite get it over the line. No, they're bad. Back-to-back 3-goal losses at home is bad for any team. Let's bounce over to Europe. Christian Pulisic wins the big derby in Milan, his 5th goal of the season. Mike Maignan with a big penalty save to keep Inter out. Milan keep their pace near the top of Serie A. Christian Pulisic, Captain America, keeps delivering for the red and black. Barcelona, they get their first game back at the Spotify Camp Nou after 909 days. Robert Lewandowski scores early, and they win big over Athletic Club. But Barcelona's dealing with a bunch of injuries. There are questions being asked about the physical preparation side of the club. Big fitness concerns. Lamine Yamal doesn't want to be treated by the club's doctors after his injury issues. It's going to be a conversation going forward. Pedri won't be back for Champions League this week. Marcus Rashford will be back as he trained with the team this morning. Jude Bellingham, he rescued Real Madrid, 87th minute equalizer in a 2-2 draw at Elche. That keeps Barcelona behind them for now. Madrid are unbeaten in the league, but they haven't won in their last 3. Let's come back domestically a little bit. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, champions at last. They win their first USL championship title after 26 years. They won 4 playoff games. They did not concede any goals. They only scored 1. Robbie Mertz, our old friend from Atlanta United too, he got a massive goal to get them to this stage. But they needed a lot of defensive solidity. They needed work in the penalties. Eric Dick, their goalkeeper, was perfect across more than 390 minutes of playoff soccer, plus the penalties. Before the match, there was a strong protest from the USL Players Association wearing shirts that had pro-rel ? Try pro standards first. This is going to be a giant issue across the USL Championship, and it's going to move into the USL League One as well as the league prepares for a new era with the potential for promotion relegation, also the potential for a new first division standard league, but some work to be done, obviously. College tournaments happening right now. On the men's side, number 1, Vermont, knocked out by Hofstra on a golden goal. Number 2, Virginia, knocked out by UNC Greensboro. Seth Wilson, their goalkeeper, 10 saves. Number 3, Princeton, knocked out by Duke, who came from behind to do it. On the women's side, Washington reached their first quarterfinal since 2010. Florida State continued to stay dominant, and Ohio State advanced on a golden goal. Here closer to home, Emory, both their men and their women have reached the Final Four. The women are back for the second straight year. The men are into the Final Four for the first time in program history, which goes back to 1958. All right, let's talk a little bit about World Cup as it's getting closer and closer. The draw coming up on December 5th. Don't forget, big event coming up at the Brewhouse Cafe. We will be there all day and get you ready for everything World Cup with the draw. We'll know what the groups are by after lunchtime. By the time your lunch is done, you'll know what your groups are going to be for the World Cup. But if you're looking for a place to stay, if you're coming to visit during the tournament, or if you live in Fayette County, this next news item might be for you. Fayette County has opened up a soccer housing bureau. It's modeled after the Masters housing platform in Augusta. So if you live in Fayette County, you can rent your home, your primary or secondary home, for up to 15 days under the IRS's Masters rule, meaning all of that income is tax-free. You got 8 World Cup matches coming to Atlanta. Hotels are going to fill. If they're not full already, they're going to fill definitely once teams are drawn. The demand is about to explode. So you can go to soccerhousingbureau.com. If you live in Fayette County and you want to rent your house, your primary or your secondary, you can do that there. But you can also go there if you're looking for a place to stay during the World Cup. Listings before December 1st get entered into a drawing for a local gift card. Soccerhousingbureau.com for more information. Let's get into the refill headlines from around the world quickly. Lanús, they are your Copa Sudamericana winners. Nahuel Losada saved 3 penalties to beat Atlético Mineiro 5-4. Jenny Hermoso finally wins a league title in Mexico. Tigres, they lift the 2025 Apertura crown. She was decisive in getting that one over the line. There's a historic title in Belarus. Newly promoted FKML Vitebsk. I'm sorry to my Belarusian listeners. Vitebsk. They win their first league title They were promoted last year, so they go from being second in the second division, getting promoted, to winning the first division. Now, heavy investment. This is a club with a lot more money than some of the teams around them. They will be trying to get into the Champions League proper next year. FKML Vitebsk. Let's go to Venezuela. We're going from Belarus to Venezuela. Carabobo, they are champions again. Their first Venezuelan title since 1971. Their first under the Carabobo name. They were previously known as Valencia. They are your Venezuelan champions. U.S. men's national team injury worries. Chris Richardson cramped up, and Oliver Glasner had the, sense of humor to say, oh, maybe we gave him too much time off during the international break. This was after Glasner had whined and complained about him being called up to the U.S. men's national team in the October window because of all the games that he's got to play for Crystal Palace and blah, 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 blah. So he doesn't get called up in November. They give him a week off, and then he cramps up in his first game back. Good job, Oliver. Way to run that physical preparation department. Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's out for the rest of the season with Celtic, and he is very possibly out for the World Cup with an Achilles injury. Unfortunately, we've got another recurrence of the issue that we've seen over the last 2 years as Juve has visited Fiorentina over the weekend and racist chanting halts the match. Chants towards Dusan Vlahovic have forced the match to be stopped for a third straight year. Vlahovic used to play for Fiorentina, went to Juventus. It was a very controversial move at the time. You can be mad all you want about a player leaving your club and going to a bigger one, and you can say that he did it for the money, and you can say all kinds of things. But when you turn it into racist chanting, you lose any ability to say anything because you look like an idiot. Fiorentina fans, this is embarrassing for this to continue to happen. There are far too many great Fiorentina fans for a few idiots to continue doing this nonsense. Be mad at the guy. That's fine. But you don't have to bring race into it. That's idiotic. A couple others. Paul Pogba returns his first match in, I think it's almost 3 years since his doping ban. He came off the bench late for Monaco. Cristiano Ronaldo with a great bicycle kick. I'm sure you can find that all over social media. Al Nassr continuing to win games in the Saudi Pro League because it's frankly not all that competitive. But yes, he had a very good bicycle kick. All right, that's it for Morning Espresso on a Monday. Yeah, you can tell I'm not the biggest fan of Cristiano Ronaldo at times. Sorry, I apologize to the Ronaldo fans. I think the Ronaldo-Messi stuff gets silly because they're both two of the greatest players to ever play the game, and it should not be one or the other. But too many people try to make it that way, and if that's the case, I kind of have a side. I think you guys know which side I'm on with that one. That'll do it for Morning Espresso with your last editorial comment of the day there. Follow Soccer Down here across all your social media platforms for updates throughout the day. Soccer over there tonight at 8 o'clock. We've got Argentine playoffs to talk about today. We've got MLS playoffs to talk about later. All kinds of stuff. Champions League coming back this week as well. 8 o'clock, we'll have picks of the week as well. 8 o'clock on YouTube, on Twitch, and on X. Thanks for listening. Have a good rest of your Monday. We'll be back with you shortly on Soccer Over There and again tomorrow for a new edition of Morning Espresso.